It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Welcome to the Wrap Podcast, the place to catch up on all the regional and national rugby in Wales. You can find us on all the usual social media platforms and message us through there if you want, or you can email us on welshregionalrugbypod@gmail.com. So all the boring stuff out the way, let's talk rugby.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Wrap Podcast with me, Lee G. Joining me as always is Harley and Jamie. Good evening, gentlemen.
Shemai.
Good evening.
Oh, nice. See, I think we should be doing more of that, CJ. I think we should be doing more of that. You know, doing it in Welsh, but I'm crap at it. I'm really crap.
Same.
I'm
bad as well.
Allegedly, I have an A at GCSE Welsh, and I still don't know anything other than where's the toilet.
You've got an A. I had a G. I was all my Welsh teacher taught me was how to play poker and how to order a beer in Welsh, which ironically came in quite handy when we did a tour at the end of that year. But yeah, that was the only thing I learned.
I mean, equally useful is Garafindi ti bach os gwelch yn dda.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah. Anyway, not joining us this evening at the minute is Carwyn. Carwyn's on babysitting duties, so if babysitting duties finish in time, Carwyn will join us. Or I can't see it happening, I'll be honest. I think Carwyn's out for the night on that one. So let's crack on with a little bit of the admin. So drink of the week. So you want a theme tune for your Jamie's news desk. Well, I thought we'd do a theme tune for drink of the week as well. So do you remember This Is Your Life? With the big red book, yeah? So, drink of the week. See? We got that one. Look at me like that.
Right then, moving on.
I practiced that this afternoon. I genuinely did. Right, so Harley, what have you got for drink of the week, mate?
So on the weekend, I was planning on testing out one of my new gadgets for my smoker. It's a chicken roaster, but the weather was shit. So I've got the can of peach beer by Jubel that I was going to have. So I've no idea what it's like. I thought it would go well with chicken, but I said I couldn't roast it, so I'm going to drink it instead.
So it's a peach beer.
Yeah,
sounds good. I like that.
I thought it'd be right up your street.
Yeah, it's an essence of Tiny Rebel there, definitely. Yeah. So was it taste? Right. Was it? Yeah. Okay. Jane,
it's not too peachy.
Is it beery enough though? Yeah,
it's more beer than peach.
It's more beer than peach. That's all right then. So Jane, what have you got, mate?
Well, it's a shame that Carwyn's not here tonight because I think he'd really like my choice this week because he's had it before on the pod. It's a tropical IPA from Drop Bear Beer Company. So this is the non-alcoholic beer the Carwyn once had. It's brewed in Pembrokeshire. Haverfordwest. Haverfordwest, Wales. Fair play is actually really, really nice. I like it a lot. It's very fruity, and I think, if you have to drive or you want a taste of alcohol, you could have this. It's a guilt-free option during the week on a school night. It's really nice. It's a shame Carwy's not here because I think he'd be quite pleased with
he's a big fan of them. Yeah,
he is. And to be fair, based on this one, it's actually really nice. I think I'll try the other flavours as well. So that's Drop Bear Beer Company and the Tropical IPA.
How come I live 10 miles away from Haverfordwest and I haven't seen it in any of the shops? I'm going in the wrong shops. That's what it is. I'm in the wrong shops to buy my beer. This is my problem. I'm going to have a look for it. They must have an outlet or something in Haverfordwest and I can go and have a look.
Well, I got that from Ocado. So if you go to any wanky supermarkets or craft ale outlets, you'll probably find it in there. Although you might be able to get in Tesco's or Sainsbury's or Morrison's. I don't know, but I got that from Ocado.
I shall seek them out and find them. So unfortunately, I wasn't in a wanky supermarket. I was in a normal one. And I've gone through the fancy ciders, the biscuit ciders and the cake flavors and the toffee apple and all of that. And the only ones that are left are like proper ciders, but a bit like from microbreweries and stuff. So this one, I picked the bottle up. So this one's called Pulped. It's that way, and it's just a normal cider. But I chose this one because on the back, you've got the marketing gump on the back, which is brewed with the finest apples and all of this. So this one says, for all our fellow rabble-rousers out there, this is, frankly put, a bloody decent cider. We're confident we'll outshine any other you've tasted before making them pale into comparison. Cheers for that, ta-da. And I just thought,
does it actually say that? Cheers for that, ta-da, or was that you?
No, well, it's save your thanks for later, is what I said. So I just thought, if you're going to do it. And then there's a we're not sorry, but anyway, we're too busy conjuring up more awesome cider for the masses. It takes a blood, sweat and tears to make this stuff, who knows? So we didn't have time to think of more marketing spiel. Besides, don't waste your precious time reading this when you could be drinking our beer. So I thought, okay, that's up my street. And it's actually quite nice. Yeah, it's actually quite nice. So
good stuff.
Hi. And beer of the week is growing in popularity. I'm telling you now, there's an offshoot coming, and at some point we're going to have to do a bonus pod on beer of the week. So just putting
Sounds
it out
good
there.
to me. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Right. So let's move on to rugby stuff then, and Jamie's news desk. Okay. So again,
here we go. Oh, I'd be fucking dreading this. It's so cringe. Go on, get over done with.
Well, I was looking for inspiration, and I thought, let's go popular EastEnders, yeah.
Christ. Go on then.
So you got like.
I know this doesn't work in an audio format, but I've just got my head in my hands.
I forgot how the song goes now. I know I had the drums. This is Jamie's rugby news. It was better than the Coronation Street one, trust me. Anyway,
to the news then.
Yeah, let's do Jamie's news desk.
Yes. I want to start out with some good news. Because no doubt we'll be talking about the usual doom and gloom stuff because it is Welsh rugby and what have you. So I want to start with some good news if I can. So I want to give a shout out to the Dragons wheelchair team who won the Welsh Open title on the weekend. So the tournament took place in Swansea. There was 4 teams that took part: Dragons RFC, the Ospreys, Taunton Gladiators and the Tiger Seals. So Dragons beat Taunton 69 in the first round. They then played the Ospreys, who they beat 18-14. They then beat the Tiger Seals 20-11. And then in the final, they had to play the Tiger Seals again, and they beat them 20 points to 16 to lift the Welsh Open title. So well done to them. And shout out to the Ospreys as well, because they did claim third place. They beat Taunton 12-11. So it's nice to see some silverware going to Rodney Parade. And whether it's wheelchair or not, I don't care. Let's take it. Let's take all the success that we can get. No, but fair play to them. It's a very, very good achievement. Ian Coombs captain, and well done to them and the boys.
Have you
ever? That's a bit nice news.
Yeah. Have you ever sat and watched wheelchair rugby?
No, but I want to.
Oh,
I think I want to now.
It is just insane. I mean, you think playing rugby on a pitch is fairly intense, and these boys are strapped into metal cages and just going at each other in metal cages. It is mental. It is fair plays to the boys. If you sit there and watch it and then go, I fancy a go at that. I mean, you've got to be off your head to go from that to the. I think most people don't watch it and they just go, on you go and play, because it is absolutely insane. But I
remember when it got brought into the Olympics and it was just absolutely fantastic to just sitting there, just like, oh yeah, that's just legalized violence.
It is. That's what it is. Well, if we're on good news, okay, so I'll let you do news desk in a minute, but I just wanted to say similar sort of a thing. So there's a guy down our way, okay, called Michael Jenkins. So he used to play rugby with my boy. So he is 18 and he's at the World Para Athletics Championship. Okay, he does shot and discus. Discus is his main event. The guy's massive. He's 6'5". He's got arms like helicopter wings. Yeah, so he's competing now as we're recording in the discus. His backup event is shot. Yeah, so bearing in mind this is the World Championships. He's 18. His backup event. And he got a silver medal in the shot put. I think he threw 17 meters, 14. And I mean, he used to play rugby when they were juniors and all of that kind of stuff. He's good mates with my boy. And he had to give up playing rugby, and just because his disability was making it too difficult. But fair play to the kid, 18 years old, World Para Championship silver medal. So I just want to give him a big shout out as well. So let's go back to rugby and carry on.
Okay, so let's discuss the Wales squad, because that came out today. We're recording this on a Wednesday evening. So Wales are named a 43-man squad to travel to Turkey and to prepare for the opening warm-up game against England. Gatland, and I quote, said the 43 players travelling to Turkey are all available for selection for the first match against England on the 5th of August. Those not travelling remain in our wider training squad and will join back up with us on our return to Wales. Now, there were 5 players that were missing from this 43-man squad. Tulupe Faletau with a calf injury, Johnny Williams with a hamstring injury, Joe Roberts, I don't know what injury he's got. I don't know if you've seen anything on Ali, but he's just down as unfit.
Yeah, I've just got injured is all I've got on him.
Yeah. And Owen Williams and Alex Cuthbert are missing through personal reasons. So they'll now miss both the Switzerland and Turkey camps. Owen Williams and Alex Cuthbert, which could have an effect when they choose the final squad, maybe. But the one name I'm worried about, which of course all Welsh fans are, is Tulupe Faletau. And I know in some quarters is being played down, he's coming back into the squad and he's had a child, etc. I'm nervy about that, about Faletau, because if we lose Faletau on top of the other players that we've lost, that's more experience and quality gone. And I don't know about you boys, but I'm shitting myself on Faletau. I hope all is okay.
I mean, the big issue is we've got lots of people who say, you say, well, we could put him in 8. We could put Jack Morgan in 8, which I think is terrible. I think 6 or 7 for him. I wouldn't put him in 8. They say bash him, and I disagree.
No, too small.
Too small. I've made my opinions on Tame bashing far too clear on other formats. I won't go into them tonight. I mean, and then you've really Aaron Wainwright's probably your only realistic option as someone who has played 8 internationally. I mean, and in fairness, he is a similar kind of player to Faletau, just nowhere near as good. I mean, let's be fair, it's hard to think of a player who is as good as Faletau at 8. So I think Faletau's a worry, unless it is just a case of they just don't want to. They know that they're going to really be pushing them in Turkey. They don't want to risk breaking him before they go out, which is, happened to other players before now. I think this is now the point when we're really missing the fact that Josh Navidi's retired.
Yes.
Because I think he's really been the only person other than Faletau who's locked out that back row at 8 convincingly every time.
I think the problem is Faletau's dominated the position so much that nobody else has had a chance to see what they can do at the international stage. Do you know what I mean? I think Wainwright's had a couple there, and I thought he did all right. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Plumtree pop up there in the warm-up games just because of his size, 6'5" or whatever. And, Gatland's brought him in for a reason somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be you'd probably look at someone like Plumtree or Chunza, both for that big, rangy, explosive power, both line-out options. Chunza maybe just for being in the setup longer. I mean, remember, Faletau's been injured for the whole camp for extended periods before, and Navidi locking down at 8 for the last World Cup. Ross Moriarty. I think the problem is there's just never been anyone who's as good as again, you're never going to find anyone as good as Faletau, but just trying to find someone decent who's staying fit or isn't, looking at the Pro D there thinking, "Ooh, my idea of a holiday, punching French people."
But then it also comes down to, how many players have we got there that can fit into what Gatland wants to do? And, you can play number 8 a couple of different ways. And it depends on who's going to play number 8 the way Gatland wants them to play. And I think that's more important than have we got players who can play there.
It's a shame that Gatland won't take a look at Morgan Morris.
Yeah.
Because he could be the next cab off the rank. And we know how good he's been in URC for the Ospreys. But for whatever reason, Gatland just don't fancy him. I mean, it is a concern about Faletau because even Sir Gareth Edwards has come out today and said that, it's another question mark we could do without. And he's right. He's spot on.
And especially if it's calf, isn't it? Because, that's the one part of the body that connects your foot to the rest of your body. And without that, you're pretty much, you're going nowhere. It's, and for a player of, was he mid-30s now? 34, 35 is he, I think. But, they don't repair quite as quick when you're that age as they do when you're 20-odd, So,
I mean, I need to double check the stat, but apparently he's only 32. I don't believe that. I think there's something wrong with my with the information I've got there because I don't believe that.
Is one of your spreadsheets faulty? Have you got?
I'm convinced this is faulty because there's no way Faletau is 3 years younger than Lydia.
Well, he did
He's
join
been around a very long time, though.
He did come through as a youngster. But speaking of 8 options, I mean, if you think about it, you've got Carwyn Tublot, who is still quite young on the scene, and I would say isn't the same kind of player. Both Marathi, again, similar. And then Dragons, everyone who's played 8 for them really is a lot more the Ross Moriarty abrasive mould, other than Wainwright. So I think, Wainwright really is the only realistic option as a close to like-for-like replacement.
And if we keep getting through them in the rate that we are, I may be getting a call to put my boots on by the time we actually get to the final warm-up game, because we do seem to be getting through players rather quickly. How many centres have we actually got left out there now? Because
we're still good. We're still good for centres actually, because we've had 7 in the initial squad, so 5 are still going out. So actually, that's
if you class Owen Williams as a 10. So
no, he's not going. So it's 5 actual centres. So Owen Williams was listed as a 10 who potentially could play centre. So the centres we've got are Nick Tompkins, then you've got Maxwell and Mason Grady, George North, and Kieran Williams.
Yeah, George North ain't a centre though.
He'll play a centre. He will.
Yeah, that's
the
thing. He's been used as a centre. Whether you think he should be a centre or not is another story.
Yeah, George North ain't a centre. I'm more concerned with another 2 Scarlets injured, to be honest. And Joe Roberts has got so much potential. and he had a really nasty injury last game of the season a couple of years ago, and only came back kind of halfway through last season, really, and made a massive impact. And so to see him out again and not know what the injury is, I think that's the concerning bit, is not knowing, is it his knee again? And if it's his knee, is it the same knee? That sort of a thing for such a young player. I think that's quite important. And Johnny Williams, in the same way as Josh McLeod, has got so much potential, just needs to actually stay fit.
No, that is disappointing, because Johnny Williams has been in really good form since he returned to the Scarlets. And he's the one player I think would be really suited to Gatland's game plan. If he's fit, you could argue he should be starting the centre. I'm a big fan of Johnny Williams. But again, it's just too many injuries, isn't it?
Yeah.
With Johnny, I'm afraid, And
it's a shame. It's constant. And none of them are like big, massive injuries. It's just like a string of niggles. It's like a hamstring, an ankle. Do you know what I mean? It's not like he hasn't broken a collarbone, he hasn't bust a shoulder or anything. It's a muscle strain. Which sometimes they're worse to come back from, because you think they're okay, and then you go for a jog, and out of nowhere your hamstring just goes pop, and it's a weird one like that. But
I wonder if it's a residual physiological, because obviously he had testicular cancer, wasn't it? He had
he did,
earlier on in his career, and I'm wondering if it's some residual stuff with the hormones going haywire has made him a bit more prone to injury.
Or it could just be he's a nutter and he commits fully to the moment, and quite often those are the boys that tend to get injured first. I'm surprised. Yeah, well, I'm surprised Costello hasn't been injured, because he loves getting involved in defence, and for such a little bloke, he loves a bit of the rough stuff. It's only a matter of time before he gets.
Don't tempt fate. Don't tempt fate, because there will be injuries happening. You know there will. That's why Gatland's named a large squad. So please don't tempt fate, because I like to see Costello go actually as part of the World Cup squad. But we'll see on that. But yeah, let's not tempt fate with any more injuries, and keep our fingers and toes crossed about Luke Faletau, because I think that would be such a hammer blow for Wales if we lost him.
Well, while we're on World Cup squad, then we still haven't had news of a captain, have we? Ken Owens out.
Not yet, no.
No. So who would you pull as captain? Who would you put there?
You want to go first, Ali?
Yeah. So for me, I'm leaning towards someone like Dewi Lake or Jack Morgan, maybe Adam Beard, because he's been in the leadership group for a while now, and he's one of the more senior players. I mean, forget anyone who plays 9-up. No. I think Dewi Lake's just got something about him that I reckon he's just going to be, follow me. I'm going to batter these people. I'm going to batter you, and if you're not coming behind me, I'm going through you. And I just think he's got that something about him. But I said I quite like Jack Morgan. I think he's got potential. I remember seeing him when he was captain in under-20s. Seemed quite, in a slightly different mold, more measured, knew how to talk to the ref, which is why I was worried with Faletau, is he won't talk to the ref because he doesn't talk to anyone.
And it's always baffled me with Faletau, with a player of that class, that, he's obviously confident in his skills and his ability, but just, like you say, so quiet around the pitch. You'd have thought by now somebody would have said to Luke, let's have a little bit of chops, and let's see what you got. But
I just don't think that's who he is as a person. Whenever you see anything of him outside off the field, he comes across as just an incredibly humble man. And I think you can't shoehorn in. Not everyone's meant to be a captain just because they're the most experienced player.
What about you then, James? Who would you put in?
I'm on the same lines as Ali. I would like either Jack Morgan or Dewi Lake. I like to see Gatland be bold and a bit more adventurous, and not take a safe option such as Faletau or Dan Biggar. I don't think Dan Biggar should get the captaincy, because although he is a leader on the field, and I do love Dan Biggar, I don't think his rapport with referees is good enough. And we saw in the Six Nations against Scotland, he's still prone to those hissy fits and meltdowns, and we can't be having that as a captain. We just can't. There are shades of 2011 about this, isn't there? So, Sam Warburton, he was 22. Remember when he was given the captaincy, he was a complete bolt out of the blue. Well, it worked well, didn't it? So I think if Gatland wants a Warburton-style captain, then you go for Jack Morgan, because he fits that mould. But if you want an abrasive captain, a go-forward kind of guy, then I do think it should be Darry Lake. But both have captained Wales at under 20s level as well. So that's why I like to see. I like to see a young, fresh captain. And I don't want to see Gatland go to the old guard, really. Let's be bold, let's be adventurous, because what have we got to lose in this World Cup? This is a free hit for Wales, isn't it, in many respects? So let's build for the future, let's go for it, let's be adventurous, and let's name a young guy. What's the worst that can happen,
See, I'm going to throw Will Rowlands in there.
The Daily Mail said about that. The Daily Mail said he's in contention, apparently, according to the Daily Mail report, yeah.
I just think I think the issue is you need to be confident that person is going to hold down their place in the squad for a period of time. So
they got to be a starter.
Yeah. And let's be honest, there's not that many of them who are both starters and confident enough to be captain. So I think that's where the issue is. But yeah, for me, my left field, if you like, is Will Rowlands. I can see him in that role myself.
Yeah, I think that's a similar role. I think it's a similar reason why I was thinking Adam Beard or Rowlands, because one, if not both of them, are going to be our starting locks for pretty much every game in the World Cup, I think. Whether it's 4, 5, or 7 games. But Will Rowlands, he sort of, despite not being in the Dragon squad relatively short time, he was captain in them before his big injury. He was Dragon's
captain.
Seemed like quite a level-headed captain. I think Biggar is. I don't think Biggar's a guaranteed starter. I think it's all going to go down to how Anscombe is in himself and how he's playing, because I think Gatland knows he needs this. Even though everyone was talking about Warren Ball and the Six Nations, if you actually look, they were trying to go wide. The problem was they weren't quite clicking, because he tried to change the shape a little bit. We still having problems with our attacking breakdown, and trying to get rid of the way Pivac's system wanted to work, because it's effectively you had to be in 3 places in 3 different phases. This is one thing. Rugby training last night, we were going through our attacking structure, and they basically said, no, we're not having forwards going around the corner endlessly. You're going forward, and then you're coming back, and you're staying and this is the attacking shape. You're staying in zones, and then whichever one's further forward, or which one's closest to the ruck, and move. Because otherwise, you're just going to all be knackered after 20 minutes.
See, for me, when a coach starts talking about attacking structures and all that, I just used to go, give me the ball and let me run. And then when I stop running, I'll try and give it to somebody that's wearing the same shirt. And if I don't, then we'll have a ruck, and then somebody else can. And that was all the attacking information I needed. And defence was hit the closest person with the ball. If he hasn't got a ball, if he's just left, hit him anyway. If he looks like he's going to have the ball, give him a dig anyway. It seemed to work. I know this 20 years ago, but for me, that was a simple game plan that worked really well.
Yeah. So the problem is the defence has gotten a lot better, so the attack had to get better. But I can't remember who was it. There was an old Welsh international who said, always get your first tackle in early, even if it's late.
Yeah, that was Ray Gravel, that was.
That's one.
Yeah, and always get your revenge in first. That's the other one. So anyway, what else have we got news-wise, Jim?
Okay, so the WRU are considering holding extra matches at the Principality Stadium next season, as it looks to boost much-needed revenue. A bit of controversy around this because there's some fixture clashes, as we're going to get into now. So one of these proposed games is a Wales match against the Barbarians. Now, that's being planned for the opening weekend of November, which is a week after the World Cup final. The other game that's being planned, which is causing a bit of a stir, is a West Country derby, Bristol Bears versus Gloucester at the Principality Stadium. If it went ahead, that would be the first time that there'll be an English Premiership game being played in Wales. Now, before we continue, there's been a little bit of confusion about this because these two games have not yet been confirmed. I've seen a few people saying, the Cardiff game, it hasn't actually been confirmed yet. So I looked on the Premiership website, the official Gallagher Prem website. It's been listed as Ashton Gate for this game. Bristol has no mention of Cardiff on their website. Neither does Gloucester, and they got it down as Ashton Gate. So this game has not yet been officially confirmed, despite what some are saying, and same with the Barbars. So just wanted to clear that up.
I think
now,
isn't the Barbars game confirmed? There was the kick-off time that hasn't been confirmed with the Barbars.
No, that nothing has been. This
not
is just
even the
discussions.
Date. Right. Okay. I thought they confirmed the date, but not the kick-off time.
No. So the date is confirmed for the Bristol and Gloucester game. The day and the date, but obviously that has not been officially confirmed yet. Neither has Wales Barbar. This is just discussions and proposals at the moment.
Okay. Well, if they do,
so what are you going to say, Harley?
Yeah, I was just going to point out one of the things with the only thing that I saw, major thing I saw about that was that they were trying to get the Wales women to do a double header, same as the end of the 2019 World Cup. And they completely forgot that they're in New Zealand for the WX15, which shows how much still the WRU care about the women involved in the sport.
I mean, that's just not a surprise, is it? WRU can't organise a piss up in a brewery shocker, isn't it? It's just they're bloody hopeless.
Surely somebody would have checked that before they come out and say it. Do you know what I mean?
You'd think so, but it's the WRU we're talking about.
Yeah. Like somebody in a meeting room somewhere should have got, I got an idea. Why don't we make this a double header? Oh yeah, cracking. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, let's float that out there. I mean, it just, the whole lot of it just says to me that there's something wrong operationally inside the WRU. Do you know what I mean? Maybe the last 12 months of all the turmoil and all of that kind of stuff has broken some of the communication channels or something, but yeah, to even let these rumors get out there without a firm no, this isn't happening, or yes, this is definitely happening. Do you know what I mean? It just causes chaos, and especially because both of those games are planned for the 2 weekends with Scarlet's Cardiff derbies.
Yeah, so I was just about to go into that now. So the Barbars game, if it does get the go-ahead and is confirmed, that will clash with the third round of URC matches where you have Scarlets hosting Cardiff at Park Scarlets. That's the Barbars game. Now, if this Bristol-Gloucester game gets the green light and it's officially confirmed at the Principality Stadium, that's on the same day as Cardiff host the Scarlets. So that game against, Bristol-Gloucester will kick off at 3:05. And then you'd have Cardiff and Scarlets at the Arms Park kicking off at 3:00. Now, for logistical reasons say that will not happen. You won't have two games together like that. If it does get the go-ahead, I would have thought the Cardiff Scarlets game would be rearranged or played at a later time, because you can't have two matches. I mean, it'd just be absolute chaos. But there is a wider question here to be asked is, should the WRU even be hosting the competitors at the Prince? Now, we know they need money, but should they even be hosting this game? That's something for you guys to discuss. I mean, what do you think of it?
What do you reckon, Ollie? Go on, you go first.
One thing I'm pretty sure, because I was checking it myself, but that fixture, that particular one, so the round 7 one, which it's in itself is mad that we get both our derbies away before the first half of the season. That's actually, it is. They were talking about that being a double header. I mean, there's no other. I think this is just people assuming it, like, if you're having both games on the side. But my biggest issue is, how are you going to work that? Because that game's going to be probably on S4C, so Viaplay don't actually have to broadcast it, or maybe BBC Wales, and then BT Sport are going to want the coverage of the other game. So, and you're not going to be able to get one TV crew in and one TV crew out. So there'd have to be an agreement there. So would that mean that would BT be so demanding that they had their game that we'd have to have that game on BT, or it just wouldn't be broadcast? The other thing, I'm not too bothered about thing, because actually I see, looking at how much of an event they make, it's usually Quinn Saracens. I think they do the big game at
That's right,
Twickenham. And they make that a double header with women's teams, which would be great if Wales had women's pro sides and didn't just rely on the power to go through. But I know I've seen a lot of people. I think it's going to I think all it's going to do is we should be playing in the English Championship so we can get promoted to the Premiership brigade. It's just going to drive fuel for them, saying, look at all these fans who've come over. Clearly the URC, you don't believe in the URC. They want us to be here. And I think it's just really short selling. When you look at the buying that, they have in Italy, in Italy, Scotland, Ireland, and South Africa, the buying to the URC is actually there. You can tell by the viewing figures, the attendances are going up. All right, yes, the attendances are poor when the Welsh side's playing, which a lot of people quote, but that's because the Welsh sides are a joke. It's as simple as that. We're a joke in the league, because we don't take it, because half the fans don't want to be there. It seems the union doesn't want to be there.
Well, that's kind of the point of the clash with the Barbarians game, isn't it? A week after the World Cup final, who is, what players are going to want to play? Let's take a best case scenario. We playing in a World Cup final and you just won the World Cup final. You're going to want to turn around, fly home and then go, let's go play another game. No, you're going to spend 2 weeks on the piss solid. Yeah. So worst case scenario, we go out in the round robin stage, in the first stage, in the pool stage. So you've then got 4 weeks before that game? Is it 3 weeks?
3 weeks, because our last game is the final weekend of pool fixtures. So we've got a weird double weekend between Australia and Georgia, which Georgia being the last game. And even then, though, typically from a World Cup, the Wales squad, Wales players get 5 weeks off. So they've only been just coming back for this third game, which is very suspicious, if you ask me.
But then, if they're going to run a Wales game, then that puts them out of playing URC and playing for their regions for another 3 or 4 weeks, depending on how much they played in the World Cup. It just, the whole idea of it, the whole organisation of it, just kind of doesn't work for me. And who's going to want to play in the Barbarian side? All the best players in the world have just spent the last, 4 weeks at least playing intense, and at least 12 weeks before that in intense training camps. So that's 4 months worth of intense rugby stuff. And then the WIU says, "Oh, come and have a bit of a laugh at the Millennium Stadium." Do you know what I mean? It's just really, really poorly thought out. On if you're going to play Wales Barbarians, do it properly. Do the fixture properly, and put it the week before we go on tour at the end of the season or something. Do you know what I mean?
I was thinking of doing what England used to do for the Kill It Clap before they decided they didn't want to keep getting spanked by a Barbarian side, so they made that World 15 fixture and just have it the week after the Six Nations. Because it's an extra fixture. You can have it as just Wales, or you can make it Wales A.
Yeah, it'll just be whoever they can get.
Even if you just did a select 15, it would.
Yeah, it'll be whoever they can get. I can't see people, players from the World Cup going straight to this. I think it'll be the players that haven't travelled, or it'll be whoever they can get. But I just want to mention as well, I listened to your Scarlet's pod this afternoon, and you and Hugh had a really good conversation actually about Bristol Gloucester.
Don't sound shocked, though, Jay.
No, it was pretty interesting. But I have to say, I did disagree with some of it. I think the two of you underplayed how much interest there would be in this fixture, particularly in Wales, because all you got to remember is there are a lot of rugby fans in Wales who don't associate themselves with regional rugby. They've got no real interest in it. A lot of them do actually follow Gloucester. They follow Bristol. And if the game was marketed correctly, which it will be, and if it's sold at a low price, which I expect it will be, we know it's going to be promoted well by Premiership Rugby and BT. I think you could get a very good crowd there. You'll be surprised. I think there'll be a very good crowd for that fixture at the Principality Stadium.
The only caveat to that, which I saw pointed out, is whether or not the WRU get a cut of the tickets, or if Bristol would have to pay a flat rate. Because if they're paying a flat rate, then that's the money we get regardless. I mean, we might get, you get the money from the bars and stuff. I think there's a lot of, but then I know a lot of people, like myself, I support the Bristol Bears in the Premiership. I'd be quite keen to go. And if there was no clash, and if I can watch the Scarlets, Cardiff, and them on the same weekend, great. And it's on a Saturday, so actually it works for me and travel, because that's the only reason I don't really like Friday night games anymore, is I can't get to them.
Yeah, it's like my dad. No, he's a season ticket holder at the Dragons like me, but he's actually a Gloucester supporter, and he's been to Kingstoke no amount of times. He actually enjoys it, and I guarantee you, this isn't clashing with the Dragons because they're playing South Africa. So I had a look at the fixtures. You'll want to go to this. I guarantee you'll text me say fancy going there, because I know that he likes Gloucester, and I think there'll be a lot of people in Wales. Like I said, they haven't got that interest in regional rugby. They haven't got that interest in the URC. There are some people who prefer watching the English Premiership. I think this will gauge a lot of interest. You'll have supporters. They got good fan bases. They'll make a weekend of it, come to Cardiff. I think they get a good crowd. I'm not saying it'll be a sellout. I'm not saying that, but I think it would be a really good event and they get a good crowd. But it's like Ali says, how much would the WRU make from this? Maybe that's negotiations that's being worked out now. Who gets what cut of...
But if the WRU are stakeholders in the URC, and the WRU are then going to, a lot of this comes down to marketing, and we spoke about that a lot through last season, how poorly marketed some of these games are. Well, all of them. All of these games they're poorly marketed. There might be a banner up outside Parker Scarlets. That's it, And if we're going to be serious about marketing the URC, then we need to get behind it. For the WRU to then go, actually, don't go watch the URC game. Don't go watch two of your best sides in Wales go head to head. Don't watch this big spectacular. Come next door and watch a couple of teams from an hour and a half away. Yeah, that's good. It's not close. They're the two closest sides to Cardiff. It's still an hour and a half. Yeah, to get from Gloucester to Cardiff, to get from Bristol, it's about an hour. Yeah, so it's not a close game. So if they're bringing people in, then that's a fair old hack. Yeah, like I'm an hour away from Scarlets. That's why I'm not a season ticket holder, because I can't guarantee every single week I can say, yes, I'm going. Yeah. So my mate Martin on the Scarlets pod lives in Llanelli. He's a Scarlets ticket holder. Pretty much every week he's there. Yeah. So traveling an hour and a bit and then having to sort out all the other crap that goes around it as well is a ball ache. So
it depends where you live and where you're traveling from, doesn't it, I guess? But I said, this is the question I was asking earlier. Is it right for the WRU to stage a game by our competitors? I'm not sure what message that sends. I don't know how that helps our teams with engagement either. So I'm very interested to see if this gets the go-ahead. I'm really on the fence about it, because on the one hand, I do think it would be a really good event. I would be tempted to go. But on the other hand, is it really right to be staging this game in Wales? I'm not so sure. I'm really not.
If they did it in obviously sometimes Six Nations Fallow weeks, we don't necessarily have a game, but the Premiership did. Although it'll be much less now because they'll only have an 18-game season, same as us. Well, even fewer if more teams drop out. They did it then on a random weekend, or they did it as a sort of pre-season thing, and said, right, here you go. Is it the Scarlet's Bath and Ragdoll match?
Yeah.
And they did that, and they made a big, they were going to have a Ragdoll match. I appreciate there'd be some Scarlets fans who wouldn't want to come all the way to Cardiff. Half of them seem to live here, including most of the players. But you made a big event, but it involved a Welsh side. That I could justify. Or if it was one of the European fixtures, or a couple of, you got a double header. If say I know Cardiff Quins and which English sides are you guys? No, none of the Welsh sides are playing one in the Challenge Cup, but
No.
As an example, say they were playing one of the English sides, and you did that as a double header, and then the two Welsh sides split the tickets. You'll probably find, same as Judgment Day, as much as a lot of season ticket fans hate it, the home sites, they get 40% of the gate receipts for a game where you get many times more people in there. Whether they're enjoying the rugby or they're getting pissed is irrelevant. The fact is, you're getting more money of it than you would if you were playing at Cap or Rodney or Parker Scarlets or the Knoll, St Helens, wherever Ospreys are going to end up this year.
But wouldn't you like the WRU though and the URC to actually start getting behind some of the fixtures that we have? The Cardiff Scarlets fixture in Cardiff. Like you say, there are loads of Scarlet supporters in Cardiff. That should be absolutely rammed. That should be sold out. There should be a call on that one to go, can we not stage this one next door? Do you know what I mean? And it's not, for the reason you say, James, so many people are just disenfranchised by it, but nobody's making that effort to go and say, right, well, come on, hang on, let's talk about this. Let's see how we can get you guys back involved, and how does that work? It just feels like the WRU is sitting there going like, well, it is what it is, not to worry, we'll see what happens. And that for me is just not good enough. It's just not acceptable. No. That's those people in charge should be absolutely banging the drum and going, do you know what, we've got some top quality sides and we need to back them. Even if it's just from the marketing point of view, we need to market the hell out of this to get these stadiums full. Yeah, like I say, I'm an hour away from Scarlets, and when we started doing our supporters club down here, I could get the Scarlets would kind of slip us 50 quid, 100 quid maybe for a bus. Yeah, depending on the game and all that kind of stuff. And most weeks I could, on a 30-seater bus or a 35-seater bus, I could get 20, 25 of those seats filled with a tenner a seat. Yeah. So effectively, we were paying for the bus. Yeah, the bus was done and I could get that many people. And it starts to grow. And if you do that, it starts to grow. So we don't do that anymore because it just died a death before COVID, and then COVID was a nightmare to get it started again and stuff. And Scarlets won't support it now because they haven't got the money to dish it out. But that's the sort of thing that WRU should be doing. Do you know what I mean? They should be saying, let's get more people to the ground. So
I think the problem is as well, there's such a negative reaction from a lot of people in Wales towards the URC and towards regional rugby in general. It's just very difficult to try and convince those people to invest and buy in. I mean, how do you do that? Some people are so stuck in their ways. You see it on social media. There are Welsh supporters who constantly run it down. And yes, URC has got its flaws. We know that. It's not perfect, but it's really not as bad as what people keep saying. But, if you keep running down the product, people see that, negativity spreads, and they think, oh, fuck it, I'm not going to go and see, Cardiff or Dragons,
Yeah.
I think you've got to because I think that's one thing where I think the Cardiff just leaning fully into Cardiff now, not even worrying about the blue side of it, where they basically went, do you know what? It doesn't matter how, they were even talking about going to just the Blues. And even then, that wasn't going to be enough for those people. Because for them, unless they've got their own team in Sardis Road or wherever, or up in Merthyr, they're not going to. So I think you've almost just got to ignore them. Ignore them. Focus on people who haven't had. I didn't experience all the old rivalries. I came in, regional rugby was the thing. Now those were the sides I went. Really, it was, your mates would play for Barry or Dennis Powis and it, but then you'd all be supporting the Ospreys because they're Gavin Henson or anything, or it's more about my mentality of what I like in rugby. When I was like Martin Williams, I went, I'm going to support, Cardiff. Of course, I'm going to support Cardiff. I think you've got to do, for me, Cardiff should be making a bigger deal of whenever we play Connacht, because it's always last season was a bit like thing because I think we were in a lull, but But normally, Cardiff Connacht is always a really intense game. You know, the game where we lost both our fly halves in the first 20 minutes, and we had, you know, international wing Lloyd Williams playing 10 for most of the game. You know, and it was a really intense thing. And that game is always good. Cardiff Glasgow for years was always a really intense game. Was always a really good, intense game. Why are they not building up? Like, this is a rivalry. Like, right, of course, like, yes, all right, we're not going to come up to Leinster. But Cardiff Dragons is always just a shit game. I'm sure Jamie will agree with me on this one. It's always a terrible game. It's
I've always
always
said that.
an awful game. Sometimes Cardiff Scarlets can be a bit funny. Like, one way or the other, there's always a little bit of fun and chucking around. But why are we not? I mean, if you look at it, you watch like the Munster social media. You know, Munster are really good. You know, they'll big at whichever team they're playing again, other than Welsh side. And you get it with all the other sides. They're big. You know, Glasgow really lean on, you know, being the 16th Warrior, which I think is their official fan thing. So I hope I'm being infringing on copyright there. But you know, they're always leaning in. Edinburgh are the same. You know. Part of the reason they went to the smaller Dan Health Stadium was to try and, you know, as Lee said, make it at least seem full. Because they were never filling Murrayfield, so it always seemed soulless. And I'll be honest, I don't really know how the Italians do it because I can't speak Italian, and I can't be bothered to press translate tweet every time. But you know, they are pushing, and I think that
they've embraced it.
Lee's right.
Yeah, they've embraced it.
It is again,
and that's what we haven't done in
not
Wales.
Pushing it.
Yeah, we haven't embraced it in Wales. Supporters haven't done it, and we haven't tried that. Even look at the South Africans. When they first came into the URC, there was a lot of scepticism, but they love it now, the South Africans. You know, it's growing. Look at the attendances. They are growing. Yeah. The finals sold out against Munster. They've really taken to it now. You know, the Super Rugby hangover is well in the past now, and they've really taken a shine to it. And, you know, they've embraced it. But we won't do that in Wales. There's too much negativity around the URC, too much negativity around regional rugby. And it's a shame.
Well, when I've said to you before, my boy went on tour. So my boy's in school in England, and he went on tour to South Africa, and they had a hospitality day at the Sharks. So for him, you know, that was quite normal, you know, because the Sharks, he knew the Sharks, and he was part of the URC setup and all that kind of stuff. And they said, "Oh, where are you from?" Like Gloucester. Oh, right, English Premiership. And when he went, well, actually, I'm a Scarlet. There's a couple of Dragons boys on tour as well. There was a few Cardiff boys. And they're like, well, actually, yeah. And they're like, oh, URC boys. Do you know what I mean? And it just kind of perked up for them. And it's like, oh, you know, let's talk about when the Sharks played Cardiff. But you know, that's out there. And you're right. There's just. I don't think you could say it's just more accepted. They've worked harder to accept it, and they've gone, do you know what, we can do something here, and actually this is quite good. And I think this has been a problem with Welsh rugby for so long, that we're just so lazy. Yeah, and I used to be guilty of that. I used to, because I didn't used to support a top flight side because they were all so far away. I didn't have a connection. It didn't mean anything to me. And it wasn't until the Scarlets started doing community coaching. So they'd come down, and I was coaching my under 7s and my under 8s, and we started building a relationship. You know, when I was under 9s, I had in one session, the same session, Liam Williams, Gareth Davis, Scott Williams, and Rob Evans all came down to my one coaching session for under 10s, under 9s they were, showing them how to tackle. Now, Rob Evans wasn't a Welsh international at the time, and Gareth Davis was kind of in and out at the time. But, you know, I still have 4 international players coming down and showing my under 9s how to coach. And all of those boys were like committed then to going to the Scarlets. And I was, and that's where it connected. And more of that we need, more of that where we go, come on, this is important. And
so you are right. But the only thing I would say as well is it doesn't help when our Welsh teams are struggling on the field. Success pulls crowds. You can't sugarcoat that. That's a fact. Success does pull crowds. And my concern, particularly over the next couple of years, is, our regions really struggle. Budgets are being reduced. The squad sizes are being cut. And if we continue to struggle on the field, it's even harder to engage those who are disenfranchised and lack interest, because nobody wants to turn up and pay to see a team losing week in, week out. There's a reason why Dragons have the lowest crowds out of the 4 regions. It's decent when you compare to County. We're actually on a par with them. We're averaging about 5,000 odd. But, we could be doing better. And we would do better, because Newport Gwent is a big catchment area, if we were winning more games. But unfortunately, we're not. And it's a struggle for all 4 teams to get crowds through the door. Although I think Cardiff's crowds have been pretty decent, actually, haven't they? The past season or so. They get 7,000, 8,000. And I think they've done pretty well, considering.
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, I said, it was either Hugh Griffin, who we've had on the pod, or Martin Lewis, who's a big follows the pod as well. We were discussing about, actually trying to tune, because obviously the whole argument about what time fixtures are is actually tune it and make the Friday night game more of a student night. Encourage it for a thing, which actually I think Cardiff have done in the past. And it's a lot easier when you're in the centre of the city. It's just, we're not going to do well. I mean, we've had to cut. Was it Cardiff and Ospreys had to cut 2-3 million off. Scarlets have maybe a bit more, and Dragons. I don't think it was as much of a cut. I'm sure you know a bit more with Jamie, but if you looked at how much Dragons struggled to fill the quality of their squad with that budget now, and then all 4 of us are going there. It's just going to be the 4 of us playing for trying not to come bottom.
But look,
and
the thing I don't think.
No,
go on. Sorry.
And I said, I don't think the arguments are saying, well, the English Premiership's $4.5 million. But they have a marquee player who you can pay £1 million to, or more if you can. You've got an academy allowance, which we haven't got. And when the English Premiership sides were told, we're dropping your salary cap down, they gave them 3 years to adjust the salaries, which is why you had a huge rush in everyone getting new contracts through, so that it could carry them through. Whereas the Welsh region said, right, from this date, next season, go. So you've got no time to plan. So Cardiff were looking to do a big recruitment drive anyway and phase out some of the more expensive sort of mid-tier players. And now all of a sudden it's like, well, no, we can't even replace them now.
Yeah. But then, what I was going to say about the Dragons, sorry, just to quickly mention, the Dragons, out of the 4 teams, they've had the lowest playing budget for a long time. Now, I know we take the piss out of the Dragons. You say that, they have been a joke team over the years, but I would always caveat that to say we have had the lowest playing budget out of all 4. We never once had a budget like the Scarlets had of 8 million. We've never had that luxury. We've always been the paupers of Welsh rugby. And I think that we've always had to sort of scrimp and save and adjust on a low budget. This is why now the changes coming in, they won't affect the Dragons as much because they're used to cost cutting, as the other 3. And when we all see everyone come down to, dare I say, a Dragons level, that sort of low budget, that, pauper, other teams are going to realise how difficult it is, because at the end of the day, in pro sport, you get what you pay for. And this is why the Dragons have been a poor team for so long, because they haven't got any money. They can't keep their best players. They can't sign world-class players. And, it's difficult. You always get what you paid for. So it'd be interesting to see in the next couple of years just how the other teams adjust to these cuts and squad sizes.
Well, I think Dragons are, I said to you a couple of times last year, the Dragons are not that far away from clicking, and I reckon the Dragons are actually due a decent season, because the positivity at the minute does feel a little bit there in terms of, you've now got a stable-ish squad, you've got a decent coach, you've got Buttress in charge, you've got, a more kind of realistic viewpoint of where you go in now. I think things are looking quite good for the Dragons. And if you can capitalize on some of the industry that's around, bring in some of the money in sponsorship or hospitality or whatever it is, then actually, that starts to look quite rosy. And that's where Scarlets have done well, where they've got a lot of, it's a massive catchment area, and there's a lot of big businesses that were all involved in the Scarlets. It's not one big business. There's quite a lot of big businesses all involved in the Scarlets, and that's where the money came from. And then we blew it all on Halfpenny and bloody Liam Williams. So, our playing budget, Halfpenny was on a ridiculous amount to come to us. And as much as you love the guy, we even offloading him still left us with enough space to recruit quite a few young players. So, I don't think it's going to be as negative as we think this season's going to be. It's going to be tough, don't get me wrong, and injuries are probably going to be the biggest factor. But yeah, in terms of have we got enough players to play well? Yes, we have. We've definitely got all four sides have got enough quality players to be in the top half of the table. It's whether you can keep enough of them on the pitch and fit for long enough to make that happen. So
yeah, and we need young talent to be fast tracked. They really have to step up now.
Yeah,
we need the young talent to step up, but hopefully they will.
Anyway,
should we move on? Right. Now, this isn't Welsh rugby related, but it is a pretty significant story, and people have been foaming at the mouth about this. Johnny Sexton, would you believe it? He is going to play at the Rugby World Cup after all.
No way.
Shocker.
It's an absolute shocker. So he was given a 3-match ban, and that means he's not going to be able to play against Italy, England and Samoa in the warm-ups, but he will be available for Ireland's World Cup opener against Romania on the 9th of September. The punishment was given after he admitted misconduct towards match officials following Leinster's Heineken Champions Cup final defeat to La Rochelle back in May. Now, I'm not going to read the whole bloody statement, but just cherry picking here, Johnny Sexton admitted misconduct, they said. His conduct was obviously unsportsmanlike and brought the sport of rugby union into disrepute. And Leinster have also been handed a suspended fine of £7,500. Now, I'm a cynical soul, as you well know, right? and I called this a couple of months ago. There was absolutely no way Johnny Sexton was not going to play in the World Cup. That verdict was obvious. I saw it coming a mile off. Did anyone actually think that he would play in the Rugby World Cup? Or was you too surprised when the verdict came out? Which is, let's be Sunday night at 9:30.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
By the way, what was all that about then? Ridiculous.
Oh, they probably got fed up of waiting on it. They were trying to see how long they could get away without. I reckon they had that verdict decided straight away. I am surprised that they've let him play for Romania, seems though he's not going to play for that in that game or the previous 3 anyway. Let's be real. Farrell is not risking the one man who makes that Ireland attack unbeatable. That when Sexton is at 10, Ireland's attack is unstoppable. When it's one of the other 10s, who don't know the system as well, I think this, if anything, this is going to be good for Ireland because it means they're going to have to pick whoever's going to be the backup to Sexton is going to have 3 games running. Because that was one of the criticisms I know a lot of the Irish podcasts had of with Farrell this World Cup cycle is, they were playing Sexton was playing far more than he needed to, and there was not enough time to develop. Whether it's going to be Ross Byrne, if it's going to be Jack Crowley or Kieran Frawley, despite never playing 10 at club level, or for Ireland because he keeps getting injured.
So let me play devil's advocate then. Okay, I'm going to disagree with you. I think he would have played some part in those warm-ups, and I'll tell you why I think that. His last appearance for Ireland was against England in the Grand Slam decider back in March in the Six Nations, right? Now, he's not available for these warm-ups now. When Ireland's opening game against Romania starts, you've got to bear in mind Sexton will not have played any rugby for 6 months, right? So there is a concern that he could be going into this tournament undercooked. So I think Andy Farrell would have played Sexton. I'm not saying he would have started all 3, but I do think he would have got some game time here and there And that's why I think he would have had some game time, because I just don't think they let Sexton go in undercut like this. So what do you think to that?
Given Farrell's records, I mean, I agree. To be honest, I reckon they'd have started and made him do 70 minutes each time. What I'm saying is I think it's actually better for Ireland that he's missing those 3 games, because it means they're going to develop as they've got more time to get another 10 running the system.
But I
just don't want him going in cold, though, do you? You don't want him heading in cold into a Rugby World Cup.
That's the
concern.
They've done stuff with him before now, where he hadn't played for like since the Six Nations, and then went straight into European knockouts. I think they know with Sexton he can go. It's not like he needs pace or anything really.
But Farrell said he would have played him. He did actually say he would have played him. Now, some people say
he had to. If he turned around and said, "Oh no, he wouldn't have played him," they'd have pushed the weeks. They would have pushed it back. So he wouldn't be playing until they got knocked out in the quarter-final.
But I think it misses. We're missing the point on this entirely. But he wasn't even playing on the day when he said those things to the referee. Now, I've only caught bits and bobs of what he said, but he wasn't playing. He was around the outside, and he went out.
It wasn't even a water boy.
Yeah, this is before kickoff, when the warm-ups and stuff are happening. The referee is warming up, and he makes a point. It's not like the referee comes over to him and says, "Hello, how are you?" He makes a point of going over to the ref, starts a conversation, and then lets rip. Yeah. Now compare that to Rassie Erasmus, and I'm not saying either of them are right. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure comparisons are healthy.
Yeah. Well, no, but Rassie got banned for a whole season. Yeah. He didn't do it to the referee. He didn't say it to the referee. He did it on social media. So whether you think it's better or worse, he didn't single the referee out and go, "I think you're a whatever he said." Yeah. I think
fucking disgrace is the phrase that was going around. I think it was at the end of the match as well. I don't think it was at the beginning.
I thought it was at the start.
And there was also
at the end.
And there's also the whole issues of the in the outside the referee's changing room half time as well. That's a whole.
Yes, he followed them around. He actually followed the officials around.
Yeah, I mean, he should have been on that pitch.
As much as people don't like Rassie, at least he made the effort to get some video footage. At least he made the effort to sit there and go, this is the point I'm making, and this is the evidence I've got. He didn't go up to a guy in his face and go, "I think you're a fucking cheat." Yeah. And we talk a lot about referees, so I criticize referees as well. And I've been a referee. Yeah. And I've been there, and I know what it's like to go, your player was crawling on his knees with a ball in his hand. He started on the 5 meters, he crawled, and then he dived over the line. That's why I've given a penalty against you. And then to have a coach go at you with an umbrella and shove the point of the umbrella in your throat and tell you he's going to fucking deck you after. And I'm the one that got in trouble for that game. Yeah. So to have that at that level, to have that kind of player do that to a referee just says to me, do you know what? The abuse that I used to get on the sideline when I was a referee, that's why I got that abuse, because the guys at the top level are getting away with it. Yeah. But Rassie didn't get away with it. Rassie produced the video and said, "I think the referee is shit because the blah, blah, here's all the stuff that the referee missed," and he got banned for 12 months. And if they had anything like a set of bollocks, they would have said, "I'm sorry, son, but this game and the referee is bigger than you and your reputation. And if you wanted to play in the World Cup, then you should have fucking controlled it." Because to me, that wasn't on.
The Rassie comparisons I can sort of understand to a degree. But what I saw a lot on social media, a lot of people were comparing it to Dylan Hartley. And I was like, no, this is not a like for like an example at all. Dylan Hartley had a horrendous disciplinary record, biting, gouging, swearing and everything else. Like, you could say we like about Sexton, he is a gobshite. Let's be honest about that. But his disciplinary record is nowhere near as horrendous as Dylan Hartley's. I just couldn't understand why that comparison was being made. Razzie, I could, but like I said, I don't think comparisons are particularly helpful. But, some weird comparisons and bizarre takes. And what I will say, it flies in the face of rugby values, doesn't it? All this.
Absolutely.
Hashtag rugby values. We like to think rugby is better than all the other sports, don't we? It looks down his nose at football. We're better. We treat our players and officials with respect, of empathy. Hashtag rugby values. I think this outcome just proves there's a load of bollocks. Because in a way, Sexton has got away with it. He will play in a Rugby World Cup. So,
And I hope he gets dicked in the first game. I hope he gets taken out off the ball and the referee doesn't see it and the TMO ignores it and somebody sticks one in his ribs and sends him home for the rest of the World Cup. Fuck him. There you go.
We do have Irish listeners to this podcast, I will say, and we thank them for it. So, let's just bear that in.
Would you like me to put an Irish accent on while I say that, just to really piss them off?
I mean, you do see it happen again. Like the Box had after the Razzie video, the Box did have a couple of torrid games with a few 50-50s ended up being more 60-40s against because refs didn't like it. Matt Carley, he got so pissed off with the way Bigger used to talk to him in the Premiership when he ref Wales and Bigger was captain. None of it. Bigger was absolutely right with some of the things he was pointing out, but Carley was so fed up with the way he was screaming at him, he just went, no, not interested.
Yeah.
And that's
I think this will backfire on Ireland as a team for that exact reason that you're saying.
I think there's probably the thing is I don't think it'll make that much of a difference to them. Not until the later stage, because I think they are just too good. I mean, the same as Leinster. Leinster could have like double or triple the number of penalties on you in a game and still win, just purely because they could just do bullshit. All Blacks used to same. But you're right. I think it. I'm not surprised. Although I'm not surprised Sexton's only missing out on warm-ups. I'm disappointed not because I wanted Sexton out, but because if we do want referees to be, to be protect, and say, look, let them do the job. It's a hard job. I mean, I will criticise them a lot as well. I'm trying to do it less because it's hard and so a lot of it is usually with my blue and black tinted specs on. But 3 weeks is a joke. I mean, that's the same number for a sort of half-hearted high tackle.
Yeah, high tackle.
Because I think Sam Lousy had that for a tackle where a much shorter player basically stepped into him and before he could react.
See, I've not got. When I reflect on it, I don't have that much of a problem with the referees. I have a problem with TMOs because TMOs were brought in to support referees to make the right decision. And I think if it takes a bit of time to make sure you get the right decision, then I've not got a problem with TMOs interfering with the game. But that thing with Sexton wasn't about a decision that was made. It was, I thought it was before the game. It was while there was no game being played. Do you know what I mean? And that's the bit for me that should have meant that there should have been more of he shouldn't have even been on the pitch. He shouldn't have been anywhere near it. On the pitch should be the players who are within the match day 23 and holding bags and what have you, and the coaching staff. And if you want to walk around, fine. Go sign some autographs in the car park. Do something productive to grow the game. Don't go and have a fucking go at a referee. It's poor. It's poor.
But I am going to slightly contradict myself now, because although I think the disciplinary committee bottled it, and they did, let's be honest about it, they bottled that decision. In some ways, I'm glad Sexton is at the World Cup, because you want to see the best players in the world at the World Cup. And I think, actually, that because, yes, Sexton is a gobshite, but I've got a lot of respect for him as a player. It would have been a really shitty way to end what's been a fabulous career for Sexton if he was not participating in the World Cup, because he has been an excellent servant for Irish rugby, and I've got a lot of respect for him as a player, So on the one hand, yes, they have bottled it, but I am pleased for Ireland and their supporters, because they are better with Sexton. They are better. They rely on him too much. They've relied on him far too much throughout the years. But, on the other hand, it's like I'm torn, You know, I am glad he's there, but did they bottle it? Yes. I think the two things can be true, if I'm being honest. You know?
No, I think you're right. I think it is, I think everyone wanted to see Sexton there, but I also feel like that's why it was so important for it to be quite harsh. Even if it missed our World Cup game, even if it was just saying, right, we're going to Romania, the chances are he probably won't, he might do if he hasn't played the others. But, if just to say, no, your World Cup was genuinely under threat, and for other players to take note saying, oh, hang on, no, that could be me. It's that example.
Yeah.
Saying that you're not allowed to, it's when like Thomas Lozano managed to get a Llanelli game to count towards a ban the week, like 2 days before a Scarlets game. So, he managed to get rid of his 3-match ban in 2 weeks. It makes a joke of the disciplinary process. I was like, there's no way Lozano was playing in both those games.
No. But then
there's a 2-day stand-down period.
But there's no way that he actually went into that guy with his head. Do you know what I mean? There was a little. I know.
You've spoken about it, but I mean, my point is, it's
No, I agree.
That's the way. I mean, if you're going to do it that way, then you drop and take a week off.
Yeah.
Take the week off, but by putting all these jokey games in there, I think it just devalues it. And same as like when you'd have like I think sometimes South African players, had a Curry Cup game, which would be midweek, which actually feasibly some of them do play in both, depending on the size of the squad. But yeah, I think if you wanted an example, if you wanted to end this nonsense against referees once and for all, if you'd ban Sexton, it would have been unbelievably harsh. And I actually genuinely do think it'd been harsh for him to miss the whole World Cup, all 5 games. It would have made other players sit up and take note and think, oh no, I won't do that anymore.
Control myself.
Like the whole idea with the whole big Razzie ban was it might have been extreme, but it was to stop it happening again.
Yeah.
And I think Razzie then got another 2-week ban for making a comment on Twitter.
Yeah.
Afterwards. I mean, I think that's where I stand with it. I mean, I think it's done now. I'll make all the jokes under the sun about the fact that, the only difference between Razzie and Johnny Sexton is Razzie isn't the floor below World Rugby.
Yes.
Okay, I think
and on that one, we'll move on.
Move on. So I'm just conscious of time. So I just will move on to some signing news. So do you remember last week Carwyn was moaning about the Ospreys not signing any players?
Yes.
Well, I reckon somebody listened to the pod for the Ospreys and they did actually announce a signing. So the Ospreys have signed former Scarlet scrum half Luke Davis from Jersey Reds. So Davis came through the Scarlets Academy. He only made one appearance for the Scarlets. That was against Benetton back in October 2021 as a replacement. Then he moved to the Jersey Reds, and he's also represented Wales 3 times at under 20s level. I'll be honest, I've never heard this guy. I don't know anything about him. So I can't give an opinion on this. If it's a good sign for the Ospreys or not, I don't know. Do any of you know? Well, you must know, Lee, surely, is it? What do you
think? It's good because they need a scrum half.
Yeah.
But I think it's the same as what's happening with Cardiff and that continues to be is, we in some positions we just need bodies.
Yeah, sign who's available. Whoever we can get.
From what I kind of remember and I kind of know, Scarlets have got a pretty consistent line in scrum halves. So breaking through at scrum half at Scarlets is quite a task. Kieran Hardy did it. He went to Jersey and then came back. Whoever's coaching out at Jersey must be doing a cracking job because the amount of players that go to Jersey, have a season there or 2 seasons and then come back a much improved player. I think the guy's got a lot of potential. He's short, he's stocky. He's got a bit of grunt about him. He's quite quick. He's got a decent pass, but we didn't really see that much of him. We saw more of him in Welsh 20s than we did at Scarlet. So from what I've been told, a lot of potential, quite quick, and quite chopsy. But he's a scrum half, so
that's
scrum half chopsy.
I guess.
Yeah. So that's what I know of him anyway.
Okay, cool. I had the Lions down. We don't have to talk about that tonight. If there's other stuff we want to move on to, we could talk about next week if you want, or we can just briefly talk about now. It's up to you.
Well, we've got a couple of years before, so let's wait till a quiet week before we discuss
all that needs
that
to be said is they've confirmed fixtures.
Yes, 9-match tour, 5 domestic, 1 invitational, featuring Australia, New Zealand players. Could actually feature South Africans as well. 3 test matches. The only thing I will say, a bit of a shame there's no Pacific Island game involved in that tour. Bit of a shame, but other than that, yeah. Oh, and the Melbourne Cricket Ground is going to host a Lions test for the first time. So that'll be quite special.
Cool.
Yeah, it looks pretty good when I watch Aussie Rules played in there. And I think they're doing a game in the Adelaide Cricket Ground, which, as my adopted AFL team out, the Adelaide Crows. I don't know why. It must be me because every team I seem to support is absolutely crap.
Okay, I think that's me done for the news. That was quite a lengthy news.
There was one thing that got put. I don't know how confirmed it is, but something that was going around on the Ruck and the Rugby Inside Line and a few other sort of more rugby news accounts was some adapted. Well, I mean, there are adapted rules for the World Cup, so they're going to be more stricter. They're going to be stricter on 90 seconds and 6 seconds for conversions and penalties, respectively, and they're going to actually have a physical stopwatch or shot clock there.
Yeah,
30 trying to get scrums and lineouts done within 30 seconds of the call, and really leaning in on the 5-second ruck, which usually happens, but you get one penalised once every other year. Everyone goes, "That's great," and then you never see it again. And then the weird one that they're talking about is taking Super. So for the under-20s World Cup, we had the red card review. So you get a yellow card and then it gets upgraded to a red within 8 minutes. It looks like the potential is that it's going to be a 20-minute red card as opposed to a proper red card. So, so you see the term orange card banded about. First, I mean, I don't know if they confirmed it or if they've just leaked it just to let people see how it goes down. I've been on every sort of platform under the sun to say I think a 20-minute red card is absolute farce. A red, you're off. They shouldn't be replaced. Don't do it. Frankly, everyone should know better. But now I know you get unfortunate ones, but they seem to be more inclined to just give them those unfortunate ones as a yellow now.
See, I liked in the under-20s the 90-second clock is up straight away. So before the kickers even got the ball on the tee, 10 seconds have gone, and you're like, okay, this is real, sort of a thing.
It's the same in France.
Yeah, and I quite like that. I do quite like it. And there was a couple of times where the yellow card review, and like the yellow card is quite a quick decision, and it's like, right, okay, bang, and they're off, and then you go, right, okay, it's going to be reviewed. So all that reviewing goes on while the game is playing, and then a decision is made, rather than everybody standing around and having 40 different replays of the same 2 microseconds or whatever. So I quite like that as a thing to take forward. The orange card, again, I think it's difficult without knowing what the criteria for the orange card is. Is it a serious yellow card? Is it for high tackles? Is it for red cards with mitigation? Do you know what I mean? Is it just for props and front rows? It's one of those things. I think we need more information about what it'll be, how it'll be used, and even then, I think trying to introduce something like that at the World Cup is probably the wrong time to introduce it. So having it at a different time of year seems to make more sense. But yeah, I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. Some of the changes I like, some of them I'm not really seeing how it's going to benefit the game. Like having a player come on, so you're missing a player for 20 minutes and then a player comes on to replace them. How is that benefiting the game? And that's it.
I think it just to appease the red cards ruin games brigade, which is utter bollocks anyway.
Yeah.
tackle
Yeah,
that.
I mean, so I said, so Super Rugby Super Rugby went to the 20-minute red card as soon as they could because Sands are just generally don't care about play welfare, it seems. Come at me, Sansa. I have nothing, so you're not going to get anything out of a lawsuit. You're more than welcome to my shitty 2012 Fiesta. And I said in the under 20s, it was still a proper red card thing. So the idea was that if it's a red card for a high shot, that's thing. So then a red card was only for serious foul play, and intentional foul play, because the whole thing is, we didn't mean it. Well, I mean, if you've got 6'6" Courtney Laws and 6'8" Eben Etzebeth, if they're able to make legal hits every time, even after playing 80 minutes, either you need to relearn how to tackle and actually go to a proper tackle school, not this one where you just get a week off your ban, or or there's something wrong with the coaching, which is another issue. When I was doing the unpopular opinion of progressive rugby, we floated the idea actually we need to start having a go at the teams themselves, not banning players doesn't seem to be working. So maybe it's time to start fining coaches and clubs.
Scarlets would have been bankrupt by Christmas last year if we'd have done that. We'd have been gone.
I bet you'd have learned a lot quicker. So I mean, again, I just don't like the 20-minute cut. I think it's just too vague. I think it is just trying to sort of cop out. I mean, when you think about with the tip tackles in 2011, there was an edict that went out, right, tip tackles now are red. All right, and we all hate it for one very obvious reason. But they kept that hard line. They kept it for a couple of years, and tip tackling basically went out of the game. And now when you do have some tip tackles, it's usually a yellow because they go, unless it's a proper, like what we had with Italy against, Italy against South Africa, I think, in the last World Cup, where you had the two props who basically lifted a player up and dumped him on the rock. That's a red. And everyone's like, that's so stupid. I think World Rugby gave up too soon on just being very harsh on red cards for high tackles. I know a lot of people disagree with it, but I think the only way you were ever going to get that change is if you kept it harsh. Now everything's just getting watered down, and it's but there's mitigation to go up with there. Now everyone accepts that as a red card, but now people want red cards for everything.
No, I agree. I'm with you, actually, Ali. I have no problem with the speeding up of the game. I actually think that's a good thing. So the 90 seconds for conversion, 60 seconds for penalty, I'm fine with that. 30 seconds for lineouts and the 5 seconds use the ball in the ball. Again, I have no issue. I think that's fine. Speeding the game up isn't necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, the whole 20-minute red card thing and the orange card, I just think it gets really confusing as well for people, And like you said, for player welfare, there's such a huge emphasis and focus around player welfare now, and it doesn't quite sit right with me. They'll call me old-fashioned, but red should mean red,
Yeah, I think I can't disagree more. It's. I said I think it is just that it's trying to water it down to try and appease, because too many people are like, it's ruining the game. And actually, when you see how good some games can be when they've had a red card or so, I mean. Not for high tackles, but there was a fight in Dallas Jackals versus Chicago. Yeah, Chicago Hounds. So their last league game of the season, and there was a fight, and 5 players got sent off red carded. And the amount of space that opened up in the field meant for an absolute fantastic game, because it was getting closer to like a game of sevens. But
maybe that's the way forward. Maybe when they're doing the coin toss, you get to pick your 3 best fighters, and then you leave them have a scrap, and while they're having a coin toss, and then whoever's last standing, only one of them's allowed to go on the pitch. Maybe that's the solution.
Is that Gatland ringing up Moriarty asking him to reconsider?
But I tell you, let's wrap up this evening with a tweet from one of our followers, James Rees. It kind of ties into what you've just been saying there. So we'll put out a thing of any questions for tonight. And to be fair, we've had some really good questions that kind of cover what we were talking about anyway. But James's question is, if there was a fight between every Welsh regional coach, who would win? And Cardiff have got to put somebody in. So I'm thinking that's quite a good question to finish the podcast on myself. I'm thinking Dai Young's going to struggle because he's not going to be allowed in. I think Dwayne Peel's going to be stood at the back, being a chopsy little second scrum half, going, go on, you have him. I think Dave Flanagan's too nice. Dave Flanagan's
He's far too nice.
He's far too nice. Go, boys, who needs to fight? Why are we fighting? Come on now, let's do that, like, you know. And Toby Booth is sat there going like, nah, we're due to merge with someone. I'll get somebody else. Somebody else will be able to fight for me in a minute. I think that's the way forward.
No, I said I back Dai Young all the way. I reckon if it's a shackles off thing, he's just going to punch his way through whatever was in his way in the first place and just go for it. I mean, I suppose Dragons, you've got Meffin Davis, so I'm sure you could bat instead of Dai. You don't have to be the head coach.
No, I tell you, would be good for the Dragons coaching team, who definitely won sugar fight, is Dan Bow.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he's at Dragons now, isn't he? Yeah.
He's on the Dragons coaching staff. I'd have him. I'd fancy him for a fight.
See, I'd quite like to see him.
Duncan Jones is too nice. I can't imagine Duncan Jones being even angry.
He'd have all the hair over his eyes. He wouldn't be able to see. All the hair would be over the eyes, man.
It'd be like trying to fight Dougal from the Magic Roundabout.
And I like the idea of just watching Dwayne Peel run around everyone going, you can't catch me, and just legging it and everyone going a little shit. So, anyway.
Just need Gethin Jenkins to sign back for Cardiff. That would sort it out.
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
You need any coach to sign for Cardiff at the minute, pal. One would be nice.
Any coach, player, a new executive board. If anyone's got a shit ton of money to give us, you know, we're quite happily taking you sugar daddy or mama.
It's all welcome.
it's all good.
Cool. Right, gents, I think we're done for tonight. I think we're well and truly finished with that. And so as predicted, Carwyn's babysitting just overran like all night. I bet you I'm going to get a message from him in about 10 minutes going, are you still recording? So thank you for tonight, gents. Pleasure as always, and we shall meet up once again next week, unless of course nothing happens in Welsh rugby between now and next week.
I think I would struggle. I said to you, didn't I? I think we're going to struggle to put some pods next week because there's not a lot going on. And since I've said that, everything is going on every week, isn't it? It's non-stop.
Non-stop, mate. Welcome to Welsh Rugby. Gents, been a pleasure as always. I shall catch up with you again next week. And I shall see you then. Enjoy your rugby. Ta-da.
Good stuff. Take care. Bye now.
Thank you for listening to the Wrap Podcast. We hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed recording it. Please do rate us and tell your friends, as it really helps us to grow and get better. We'll be back next week for more of the same, and until then, enjoy your rugby.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.